Hey guys, it's Michelle from Cozyegg, and this is episode 92. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2020. So here we are again. What's been going on? So I thought I would start off today by telling you a little story about myself that I shared with Stephanie from Lindy Stitches. So I have super sensitive hearing. And so because of that, a lot of times by the end of the day, my hearing is sort of a shot. I've just been overloaded with listening and with hearing things, particularly when I've been on conference calls all day. It's especially bad if I'm in situations where there is a lot of background noise. I have a really hard time, my hearing just gets overloaded really quickly. I know this about myself. Because of that, I sometimes have a hard time hearing things. Particularly, I have a hard time understanding people sometimes. And so the way that I compensate for this is that instead of asking somebody to repeat themselves or to speak up, I just interpret it on my own. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm not. And when I'm not, it's usually way off. Eric makes fun of me, and and the way that he does that is, someone will say something, I will mishear it, and he will say, I like mayonnaise. Because that's my go-to response for everything, right? Anyway, so there are times when I hear something and I hear it correctly, but it sounds so outlandish that I have to check. Did I really just hear that? But then there are other times that, like I said, my interpretation is completely off base. So I was watching Stephanie's video, not her most recent one, but I think it was the one before, where she was announcing her mystery cell that she was doing. And so in her video, she was talking about representation and, about being kind to each other. I don't want to put words in her mouth, etc. But anyway, she was talking along that topic. And she said something, and she was, saying something in a positive manner. And what I heard her say was something along the lines of, it's good to reflect, it's good to, pay attention to how you're feeling, etc., etc. And then what I thought I heard her say was, tend to that. And I thought, hell yeah. That's high five, but double. Tend to that. And I thought, I am totally going to start saying that. I love this phrase, tend to that. And then she said it again, and I realized that what she had said actually was tend, T-E-N-D, to that. Which was not quite as exciting. But I got a little chuckle at myself about it. And so I had to send her a message and share that with her. So 10 to that, Stephanie. Anyway, I felt like I needed to share that story with you guys because I am in need of a good laugh today. It has been a very hard day. In fact, this past week has been a little hard. So 10 to that. The other thing that's been going on is that I have been doing a good amount of organizing. And so I think I mentioned this previously, that I've been trying to go through like all of my whips, my stash. I have a pretty good inventory of things, but if you don't keep up with that, it gets a little off kilter and then you don't know what's where and what's going on. And I was also trying to make decisions about things as I was going through them. So I did, I went through my whips, which of course I showed you. And I've been going through, so here's the quandary that I had. Well, not really the quandary, I solved the problem. But what I was finding as I was going through things is, and I have basically all of my stash lives on one bookshelf, which is where my threads and my charts are and my magazines. And then I have a closet, and it is not a big closet. And so I have a lot of things in buckets, like big Rubbermaid Tupperware kind of buckets. And then I have some smaller buckets. And so things are sort of squirreled in that closet. So I have like my whip buckets like right as you open the door. But then, back to the right-hand side, I have other stuff, like some quilting fabric and what have you. And there are some shelves over there to the right. On the left-hand side of the closet is all like my holiday decorations and everything. And so if I have to get to anything that's on the far left side or on the far right side, and I say far like it's more than 6 inches, but if I have to get to anything on the sides, everything in the middle has to come out so that I can then get the stuff out on the sides. So it's a process to get to anything that's beyond what's right there in front. And so because of that, I wanted to really kind of think about where things were, and so that the things that I wanted to be able to get to more easily were clearly closer to the front. So I have my 2 whip buckets, and you saw that I have that kind of broken up between like my samplers and then non-samplers. And then on top of those 2 buckets, I have a basket, and in that basket is, the couple of projects that I'm sort of actively working on. So one of the things that I found when I went through my whips was that I have things in there that are not whips. I had several things that were kitted, not yet started. I found some charts that were just randomly in there that are not even kitted up. They were just in there. So the first thing I wanted to do was take anything that was not actually a whip and pull it out of those buckets. The other thing that I found as I was going through my other buckets was that I had whips that were not in those 2 buckets. So let me digress for just a moment, and I will show you. I did find one more whip that I did not show you as part of my whip parade because it was not with my whips. So this is, I have a chatelaine bucket that I keep my chatelaine kits in. And for my chatelaines that I'm working on, I have, I tend to keep like the bead packs and the crystals and all of that in that bucket so that nothing happens to them while I'm stitching it, because I'm not going to put that on, excuse me, until the end anyway, so there's no reason for it to be in there. Well, I found a whip in there. Why it was in the other bucket, I don't know, but it's now going in the whip bucket. So this is Midi Mystery 2. You may recall that I have stitched Midi Mystery 1. It was the first shadowing that I did. I will insert a photo here. And I had that framed by Jill Rensel. I love it. It's one of my absolute favorite things that I've ever stitched. And so the premise of that piece, it was her first 6-month mystery, which is why it's called Midi Mystery, M-I-D-I. And so the premise of that was that it was a medieval garden. And so then this next one, I believe, Midi Mystery 2, I believe, is a Renaissance garden. So I'm going to insert a photo of what that chart looks like here. So I think she did 4 of these, maybe. I think she did maybe Baroque and maybe Rococo. Anyway, but the art historian in me was excited about it. So this is Midi Mystery 2, and here's where I'm at. So I have the whole frame done, which is how she starts you out. And these bricks up here are going to be specialty stitches. They're similar to the ones in Midi Mystery 1, that they will probably be filled in with road stitches to make them dimensional. And then you can see down on the sides, I have started doing those little road stitches down there on one side. So it's got a similar layout to the other one, with the 2 arches, and I just love it. In fact, I started this one, I think for my birthday one year. I actually started it like the day that my Midi 1 came back from Jill Rensel, like the day that it arrived at my house, like this ginormous box arrived. And so I think I started this one that same day. And then of course got distracted. And it's got lots of gorgeous silks that go in there. Lots of gorgeous silks, MPIs, and Silken Colors and Glorianas. And then there are also petite treasure braid. Also. So, one of these days, I'll get back to this. So for those that are counting at home, I think that may be, I think I may have 4 shadowings that are whips. I have Pearl Lights, Egypt Garden, Midi Mystery 2, and the Mermaid Treasure Box. So this is the last whip that I found. I did find 2 other things that were previously whips, but that I have marked them as give-ups. They're done. So I did pull them out of the bucket that they were in. I'm not entirely sure what to do with them. They will probably end up in the whip bucket, at least for now, but they are give-ups. So, I have my whip buckets, and then I have a 2 buckets that are for things that are kitted either partially or fully. One of them is what I call snack stitching, and I got that term from Annette of Annette's Acre. And so snack stitching are for those little, small things that you can sort of grab and go, like potato chips, right? That you just need a little snack. So you just grab and go one of those and get to it. So, and I had in my snack stitching bucket, I found a variety of sized things in there. I had larger things. I had what I would call medium things. And so I pulled all of those out so that the only thing that was in snack stitching are actual snacks. There's no entrees, nothing, just snacks. No brunch. And so then I have a larger bucket that had some whips in it. So those got pulled out, like all of my workshop whips, like my Catherine Theron and my Betsy Morgan, etc., were in this other bucket, which they should not have been. They should have been with the whips. So in the larger bucket, I have kitted or fully or partially kitted things that are what I would call, medium large pieces. So, like a Plum Street sampler or a Blackbird piece. Some of those tend to fall in that medium range. And then of course I've got samplers, or larger things that are in there. And of course it's large and above, right? Because we all know me. But, so I tried to make that distinction so that I've got snacks and I've got full meals. And I did find a lot of where I had a chart in one place, I had a thread pack for that chart in a separate place, and then I had fabric for it that was specifically for that piece in a separate place. And so I've tried to pull all those pieces together so that they're all together in one place. And so I've got my 2 buckets of kitted things. And the other thing that I found, particularly in my box of kitted things, is I found what I'm going to call finishing pieces. So if something gets finished on a horn book, or it gets finished on the top of a box or something like that, and I have the thing to finish it with, that didn't need to be in that box, because I haven't even started the thing, much less am I ready to finish it. So I pulled all those things out, and I actually put those on a box that was sort of on a side shelf way at the back, near my chatelaine box, because I figure these are things that I don't need to get into anytime soon, but then they're in a box, they're protected, and that way they're all together. I know where they are, so I don't have a horn book that's getting, broken, or, a box that's getting dinged up and banged up and what have you. So all of that went into that box. Now, I think there are other pieces floating around in the closet elsewhere that I have squirreled away. When I find them, now I have a place for them. So it felt really good to do that. And I did also make sure that any pieces that I have finished stitching that are ready to FFO, if I have a thing that needs to be, that they're going to be FFO'd with, be it a box or a tray or whatever, I put those in my finishing bag. So I have a big tote, zippered tote that has all my finishing stuff in it. So anything that's ready to be FFO'd, any of the stuff that I'm going to use to FFO that fabric or tray or whatever, I put all of that together So it's all ready to go too. And then I have a box of fabric scraps. So anytime I found, little pieces of fabric, I put those in my fabric scraps bucket. So I'm starting to get some semblance of order, which is great. And it feels really good. So now that I've sort of been through all the boxes and bins, my next step is, and I've been going through my thread as well. So one of the things that I do is I'm a master inventory list of all my threads. And when I pull threads out of inventory and put them in a project, I have them listed on my Excel spreadsheet so that I know where they are. And so if I have to borrow threads out of one project to use for a different project, I try to make note of that so that I know where I took them from and where they need to go back to. But I'd gotten a little loosey-goosey with that. So as I was going through all of my whips, I made sure that I had noted where everything was. And so then my next step is going to be to go back through my inventory of the rest of my threads, the ones that are on the shelf, as well as to go through all of my charts. And as I'm going through my charts, my plan is to also pull anything that I know I'm not going to stitch, because there's no need for me to keep it in there if I'm not going to stitch it. Especially if I got to whittle stuff down to this 50 bucket list, right? So yeah. But I feel good that I've basically done the bulk of what needed to be done in the closet. And so now I can kind of work off of my bookshelf and finish my inventory and finish going through that. So good deal. What I'm finding though is I'm super excited about some of the whips that I came across and the things that I found, even kitted stuff. So I was like, I want to start all of these things. I want to work on all of these whips. And I'm very, very tempted to next year do a designer themed year, because I found several pieces that I would really love to have finished from a specific designer, as well as some things that I would like to start. So I'm just sort of keeping that in the back of my head. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to organizing wise, which has felt really good. So let's talk about what I've been working on. So obviously I was working on Sparrow, and let me pull my chart off of here so I can show this to you. So I will be honest with you, I do not remember where I was the last time I showed this to you, but here's where I'm at now. So I did finish page 8. Sorry, page 4. This is page 4. I finished page 4, which felt really good. Got my border brought down, etc. You'll notice that I've left the verse blank because I am going to change that. But really happy with how that looks. So I decided to go ahead and work my way down, because it meant that I didn't have to move my Q-snap at all. So I moved down to page 8 and got a small start on this. I stitched this little, what I'm calling the bomb pop bird. I stitched him on the 4th of July, which was kind of fun. And I did remember after I stitched this, and it looked a little funny to me, that there are corrections out there that Beth has posted. I believe they're on her blog. They may also be in one of the Heartstring or in one of the His Eyes on the Sparrow groups on Facebook. but they are out there. And this little flower right here was the first of those corrections. So the plant part, the vine part, the stem and the leaves were charted in the wrong color. They were charted in like Brethren blue or something, and they're supposed to be endive. So, or endive, however you prefer. But I just like to say endive because it makes me laugh. So I ripped that out and fixed it. I got my weird ram or llama or whatever that is done. He has horns, so he's probably not a llama. I got my peacock done, and then I started on this bird and the little baby that goes with it. And that's when I ran out of steam. I just flat hit a wall. And like every night, it was just a struggle to get any stitching done. I mean, I was literally stitching like, 5 to 10 stitches a night, and that was it. And then the rest of the time I was just holding my stitching. So I really struggled with allowing myself to put this down. Especially after, I said in my last video, I really want to get this finished in July, which I knew was a pipe dream. So, there's no need to point that out. But I really struggled with allowing myself to put it back down. But I just thought, you know what? This is not making me happy. And I would much rather be spending my time stitching than on holding my stitching. So if that means I needed to move to something new, let's move to something new. Or different, whatever. So the problem that I had though is that I couldn't decide on anything, and I sort of got, I was really disappointed in myself for kind of throwing in the towel on Sparrow. I'll get back to it, but I just can't do it right now. So I was disappointed in myself for that. And then I was also feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Like, I don't know what I want to work on. There's too many things to work on. There's too many choices. And I didn't really want to work on anything big. You know what I mean? Like, it's like my brain just needed to break. So I woke up one morning and I was also having the same problem with Flosstube. Like, I couldn't watch Flosstube. Nothing was, somebody says, maybe it's Sylvia that says nothing tastes. Yeah, like nothing tastes. So I couldn't, I just couldn't do anything. But I woke up one morning and I walked into my closet and I pulled this out. This is Athene Noctua, which means Athena's owl, by Ink Circles. I bought this the second that it came off the printer, basically. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I must have this and must stitch it. I just love it so much. So much. Part of because it's based on this Greek coin, which I love that. Part of it is, it's just a fantastic design. Part of it is, it reminds me of that owl, that mechanical owl, what was his name, Bubo, from Clash of the Titans. Classic. But yeah, I went and pulled this and I just said, I'm starting in. And I was messaging with some friends and I said, you know, it only calls for 3 gentle arts and 5 DMCs. I'm just gonna go pull those. And they were like, good luck. Famous last words. But you know what? I had every single one of them. And not only that, I was able to find every single one of them. So, haha. And fancy enough, some of them were in Sparrow. So, these are the DMCs that it calls for. Basically some browns and this 950. This 950. And then it calls for pomegranate and forest glade, which I understand is no longer this gorgeous color anymore. It's now brown because we're just making all the greens brown now. And then gold leaf, which I had to pull out of Game of Swans. And Sylvia had this tip that I kept thinking about doing and then finally just decided while I have it out, I will go ahead and do it. Now, she just puts the symbol, but because I keep having to pull these for other things, I needed to know what color they were. So I put sticky, I just cut like the tops of Post-its and put them on the back and wrote what they were. So now I know what they all are. So this is from Game of Swans, like I said, but I just needed this one color, so I just pulled the whole thing. And this is in my Tula Pink, Pinkerville, Love You More Studio sleeve. This is in one of the larger sleeves. And so it fits a big chart. But it seemed like the perfect thing to put this in, so I got a little start on this, and I think I've worked on this, I started it Thursday night, so I've worked on it 3 nights. I got very little done last night because I was freaking exhausted, and I kept nodding off, but here's what I have. So it's coming along pretty well. It's actually coming along pretty quick, surprisingly enough. I always scoff when I hear people say that, but in this case, it's actually true. So I've got this border completely done, except for the corner is missing 4 little stitches. And this is where that 950 comes in. So it doesn't really look quite as sort of peachy pink once you get it with that gold. And I'm working on this corner right now, and then also sort of working across this border. And so the 2 side borders are the same. The top one is different and the bottom one is different. And then I started on the olive, right there, olive leaf, olive snippet. So, and my moon needle minder is from Amy Baruch. So I'm really thrilled with that, and I'm stitching it on 40 count doubloon, and I love it. I love it. This was exactly what I needed. It's just a fun little piece. I mean, how can you resist that owl? Seriously, he's so good. And this right here, which I think is Alpha Theta Epsilon, stands for Athena. Olive branch is what she's calling it, olive branch. So, new start, but it's a small new start, and I love it. And I got a little down too because I realized I finished Crown Bird in the beginning of February, but other than that, I've had any big finishes. I've had some small little pieces, but that's it. And so I got a little down about that because I don't really count Crown Bird as being a finish for this year because it was mostly done last year. So no big finishes for this year. You know, it is what it is. So anyway, so I'm going to stitch some more on Athena's owl, which I'm really enjoying. And I'm just gonna enjoy it. Because why not? So, I worked on Sparrow, I worked on Athena's owl. And that's it for whips. So, I thought we'd talk a little bit of stash enhancement. There is not much, but of course, the owl will go on my soon-to-be bird wall because I am, of course, stitching all the damn birds. Because as a reminder, before I get to stash enhancement, as a reminder, we're going to be stitching the partridge sewing box from Blackbird Designs Loose Feather Summer, starting on the 25th of this month. The damn bird Sal. So all the damn birds. And so I have that in here. I need to pull the rest of my threads, but I am getting that ready to go. But I have some of my threads. Some of my threads ready to go. I want to replace these two DMCs with overdyes. But I have some bell swas and a dinky dyes there. So I will be ready for that damn bird on the 25th after I finish this damn bird. And because I don't have enough damn birds in my life, I had to order another one. This is Eliza Bell Cox by Hands Across the Sea. And if that's not a magnificent damn bird, otherwise known as a damn fine bird, I don't know what is. I love this border, this pansy border. I've loved this bird since I first saw this. My friend Robert stitched this piece and it's glorious in person. And the verse on it, I actually really love because it's a little bit morbid. So it says, "There is a modest little flower to friendship ever dear. Oh, I plant it on my humble bed and strew it o'er my bier. Let not the dark sepulchral, I think that's correct, you, its somber branches wave, but let that little fragile flower alone grow on my grave. No sculptured marble e'er shall show my lowly home. That little modest, humble flower shall mark my silent tomb. Then shall my grave by this be known, a little smiling spot, a mound thick covered with the flower that says, forget me not." I love that. Despite me butchering it. So yeah, Eliza Bell Cox for sure is getting stitched. And I ordered this from Sassy Jacks, was my first time ordering from Sassy Jacks, but they had her on sale. I think the Hands Across the Sea pieces are usually like 30 something, and I think they had her for like 18, I think. So can't beat that. And when they sent my, here's the little card for Sassy Jacks. When they sent this to me, they also sent, this is a sticker that you can put on the back of your framed piece, which I think is fantastic. But you can see it's got, you can peel that off and have a label. And then they also sent this corner square so that you can start your piece. So, fun. So that came from Sassy Jacks, and it will be the perfect companion for this chart that I already had. Another Dan Bird, Ann Thomas. And this one I purchased from my local needlework shop, the Stitch Niche, which is in Arlington, Texas. And Athena's Owl came from Stitch Niche as well. So I purchased this the second it came out also. So Eliza Bell Cox, meet Ann Thomas, all the Dan Birds. So that's it for stash enhancement. So we'll talk a little bit about plans. So I mentioned that Dan Bird Sal that we're going to start on the 25th. I will be continuing on with Athena Noctua. I mentioned last time my birthday sal for the month of August. I'm going to be stitching on Anne Ufendel, and I would invite you to stitch on one of your Ufendel sisters if you have one of those started, or any Hands Across the Sea sampler, such as Walter or the Jungle Igloo, whatever. So join in with me and stitch on a Hands Across the Sea for August. And then the other thing, of course, today is Dark 13 stitching, which means on the 13th of every month we get out our anything dark, creepy, sepulchral, etc. It does not have to be Halloween. Just anything that is dark. And so we stitch on that on the 13th of every month. And then of course in October we do Dark October stitching. So what I thought I would work on tonight is what I have been working on for Dark 13 stitching, which is my Hallow Eden. So last time I was able to get some letters. I was able to get the moon done and start on these pumpkins that are around the tree. So I think tonight I'm going to probably work on some more letters and work on some more filling in of these pumpkins. So I don't know if I'm going to work on this just tonight or if I'll work on it a couple of nights. We'll see how I'm feeling. And how anxious I am to get back to Athena. But that's what I am planning on working on for Dark 13 stitching. I just need to put it in a Q-snap. And then we're ready to go. So those are my plans And I think the only other thing that I had was to announce the winner of the giveaway. So last time I offered this Melancholy by Not Forgotten Farm as the giveaway piece, and I asked that you tell me what you've been doing to try to keep away the melancholy while we're at home, while all the stuff's going on, although a lot of people are not home anymore, but I am. And I got some really great answers. So of course, you know, people mentioned stitching, but also reading, getting out, you know, and taking walks with the dog, as well as baking bread. I have requested someone send me some cinnamon rolls. They said they were making. Organizing, cleaning, which of course you know I have been doing as well. So some really good suggestions. So I did I went through the comments and I did the random number generator, and so the winner of the melancholy chart is Ann P from Fiber, Floss, and Fiction. So congratulations, Anne. I'm so excited that you won. And I will be shooting you a note. I think I have your address, but I will shoot you a note and just double check on that. And then I will be sending this along to you. So thanks everybody that entered. Thanks for leaving me your comments. I really enjoyed reading them. So that was fun. And in case you didn't win, I believe that Lori from Not Forgotten Farm still has 20% off all of her patterns on Etsy if you're interested. So go take a look. Not sponsored, just a happy customer and a happy stitcher. So I think that's all that I have. I am miraculously under an hour, regardless of the fact that despite the fact that I went on and on and on about my stash organizing, but under an hour, 10 to that. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Okay, guys, well, hopefully I don't forget anything. But thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here and appreciating, you know, me and what I have to say and my stitching and all of that good stuff. It really means a lot to me. So yeah, okay. I'm going to clean up my mess and get Hallow Eden on the Q-Snap, and I think I'm gonna go. Abby Bella Stitch said she was recording a video tonight, so maybe that's up. Hopefully, and see what else I can get into. Eric is doing a webinar tonight. He's teaching a webinar, so maybe I can get a little Flosstube in before he's done. All right, thanks guys. Take care of yourself and join us for the bird sal on the 25th. And I'm sure I will be back before August, but if not, start gathering your stuff and please join me for the Cozyegg hats birthday sal. All right, thanks guys. Bye.